If you've ever stumbled through a social media site around Valentine's, you know women love to show off what their boyfriend or husband surprised them with. So this should be the one who wins Valentine's with 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, when you order early, you can get 18 pink and red enchanted roses for only $29.99. Valentine's Day is almost here, so don't put it off. Get 18 pink and red enchanted roses for only $29.99 from 1-800-Flowers. This gorgeous bouquet of radiant pink and red roses is the perfect Valentine's surprise she's guaranteed to love. Roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak and shipped overnight to ensure freshness. 18 red and pink enchanted roses for only $29.99 is a great reward for ordering early. This Valentine's, don't settle for anything less than 1-800-Flowers.com. To order 18 red and pink enchanted roses for only $29.99, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, and enter code WINGO. Again, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, and enter code WINGO. Order today and save at 1-800-Flowers.com, code WINGO.
Great news. There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
I'm Jason Fitz in for Trey. Got Mike and Mike both here, Golick Sr. and Golick Jr.
I already, some of these tweets that are coming in, again, at Golick and Wingo, we said, we asked the question, Gronk is reportedly considering leaving football for a career in acting. What movie do you think Gronk would have made better? Now, a lot of people are going with movies that are made, and that's what we asked, but you can also look ahead. And this one, oh, now I lost it. Oh, don't tell me I lost it that much. I got to find it. Oh, that's just awful.
Turn your mic on. You are a professional.
I didn't have any real comment. I was just remarking.
No, you were making noises. You were making noises. That's exactly right.
They were grunts.
You got them.
They weren't airworthy. You guys just want to put bad content on there. That's on you. That's not on me.
I heard the call this morning saying you're better than your father already. So obviously that guy, had been,
country, my guy.
Yeah, I completely puckered up there. I figured I was the one that didn't have my mic on. So
this one, Scoob, you're getting a 1-800-Flowers.com gift card. We're sending you one. This from Scoob. Gronk could play Ivan Drago's son in Creed 2 as the villain. Drago killed Apollo. His son wants revenge. That's awesome. That is awesome. I love that one.
Done. I just need Gronk doing a really bad Russian accent.
Oh, exactly.
No, it can't be. I don't need any of that. This is a terrible idea.
Oh,
you know that.
Because that movie, the end of that movie was just ridiculous. So I liked the movie. The end of it was horrific. But that is a great idea.
I still like that Sutherland put in Gronk in all the titles. Terms of Gronk Dearment, The Gronk Father, Raiders of the Lost Gronk. I mean, it's all there. Let's get to a little bit of what's out there and what's going on right now. With what's trending, we've got this fancy Olympic sounder every time we got Olympic stuff going on.
Pyeongchang.
I'm sorry, we're hitting that again.
Pyeongchang.
Oh, this thing
Seriously?
is off the rails.
That's what we're going to play? The Olympics start now, and that's what we're going to play when we do an Olympic update.
Now I'm going to try and read professionally, which is already a stretch for me.
Holy smoke.
Loser Aaron Hamlin will carry the U.S. flag at the opening ceremony in
Pyeongchang
tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Oh, you can take it from here.
Yeah, the four-time Olympic loser was chosen by fellow Team USA Olympians. Obviously, she's just absolutely ecstatic about it. She's a four-time Olympian, a winner of a bronze medal in the 2014 Sochi Games. She's retiring after these games. So it's a great honor to carry the flag. Again, it's the largest contingent we've had in the Winter Olympics. I can't wait for it. For this. I look forward to all of it getting going. But it's a great honor for her as she ends her Olympic career. And 4 Olympics, that's pretty impressive.
So it's a long run. What's your favorite Winter Olympic event? Me and Fitz and I were talking about this morning.
I love watching it all, but if I were to sit and go, this one just mesmerizes me, it's the downhill. They're nuts. They are absolutely nuts throwing themselves down that hill. I mean, as fast as they're going and the turns they take, it's crazy. That one, you just sit there and you're almost like tense for them to not wipe out.
I'm a grown man, and I will admit, give me figure skating all day, every day. Every time they, triple sow cow, I'm like, is this the moment somebody's going to fall?
It is cool.
So you're like NASCAR. You root for the accident.
Oh, is that what you do?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh,
wow. God, there's a deep, dark corner of your heart. By the way, give me the biathlon. Skiing and shooting. It seems the most practical. Like if you're stuck in a pretty compromised situation, you've at least got some life skills you can fall back on.
Good point.
Should it surprise anybody? He takes skiing and shooting. I take figure skating.
Not stuck.
4 days after beating then number 4 Duke, St. John's upset top-ranked Villanova last night for its first win in Big East play this season. Heck of a way to get off the schneid.
They were 0-11 in Big East play before they knock off, get a win in the Big East. And by the way, yes, against the number 1 team in Villanova. But then, as you mentioned, knocking off Duke as well. It's St. John's first win against a number 1 team since January 26, 1985. That game was against Georgetown. The team high scorer in that one at 20 points was Chris Mullen, the great Chris Mullen, who is now the coach at St. John. So pretty, I like the symmetry there. And what a big win. There were a couple of upsets. Number 1 Villanova lost. Number 3 Purdue lost to Ohio State, and number 8 Auburn lost to Texas A&M as well.
Yeah, St. John's is the 8th unranked team to win in consecutive games against top 5 teams prior to their conference tournament. So, like Fitz said, a way to get off the bench in conference play. It's
incredible.
This one. Finally get it rolling a bit.
Yeah.
Great way to get everybody kicked into college football or college basketball season.
Yeah.
You can't even get out of football season if you try.
I can't. I keep trying. So Justin Timberlake pretty happy that he did the halftime show. Sales of songs that Justin Timberlake sang during the halftime show at Super Bowl 52 in Minnesota rose 534% compared to the day before, according to downloads tracked by Nielsen Media. This is why everybody wants to play the Super Bowl.
Remember when it was, didn't the league wanted the artists to pay? Was that what was going on? They wanted
There was a conversation about whether or not it would happen. I'm surprised it hasn't happened.
And they were like, no, because the league was saying, look at all the exposure you're getting, because forgetting the Timberlake's 534%, it didn't reach the 960% bump Lady Gaga got last year. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, you could put that into terms more than us, you being in the music industry, and just how monstrous that is.
Well, it changed everything in Timberlake's cycle. That's why he released the record when he did. That's why Man of the Woods came out when it did, and it puts him in a better platform to come right out. And that's why artists a lot of times will announce a tour right afterwards. I mean, it is the biggest thing you can get your hands on. And the NFL is right. If they really drew a line in the sand and said you can only play it if you pay for it, they would get bidders galore. Everybody.
You think so? Yeah. I mean, because who'd they try that with? Was it to try that with Beyonce?
There was a rumor that they were going to try it around that, and then
it was going to get shot down.
I think it was Beyonce, and they were like, we can't do that. The Bayhive will tear the stadium down.
That would be really, really bad.
But frankly, if they came in today and said, hey, we're going to open it up to bidding, or if you want to play it, here's the fee. As much as people might yell
because
about it,
of the bump they would get, it'd be worth it, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the biggest venue you played?
The most people I ever played for was over in England. We played Hyde Park.
Uh-huh.
There was about 110,000 people there. In the States, some of the festivals are about that, but like venue, we did the Houston rodeo almost every year, and so we played Reliant one year when it had just, If I Die Young had just been huge, so that was sort of the first big 74,000
You
people.
get nervous for every performance?
Nah.
You didn't? No?
No, never.
Really?
Never got nerves.
You never?
Do you even
wow.
care?
The only time I ever got adrenaline that was really hard to control was when we played Madison Square Garden, because I used to go to that arena as a kid.
Right.
I'd use my lunch money and buy like top row tickets. So there were a lot of times I was like, yeah, I've sat in the top row and watched the Knicks or the Rangers here. So there was a lot of adrenaline for the Garden. But other than that, no. When we did the Houston rodeo and we played If I Die Young, I did take, like, you have these ears where you can't hear anything. I took one out so I could actually hear, like, the crowd response after. I wanted to know, like,
really?
What's a fiddle solo feel like in front of 70,000+ people.
But you never got nervous. So you never got nervous, and you basically threw up before every game.
Yeah, pretty much. I
kind
had
of
to get
both
it out.
sides of it. Yeah,
I had to get it out, man.
Yeah.
It was the only way I was going to feel okay, because I imagine playing offensive line and fiddle are similar in that you have to have a comparable mentality. You got to go in kind of even keel. There's a lot of thinking involved. You got to be ready to adjust on the fly to some things, so it requires a level head.
I always text my wife right before every show we did and said, time to make the donuts. And after every show, I said, money earned. And like, that's just because it was a business to me my whole life. As opposed to this, which is fun because I get to hang out with you guys.
Gosh.
See?
Wow.
See what happened?
Please,
You're listening to Golick and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. I'm Jason Fitz in for Trey. And it's obviously, it's a big day. It's NBA trade deadline day. The Cavs get a win last night on national TV, their first in 9 tries.
LeBron makes the catch, he spins, he fires! Oh, he nailed it! LeBron James from the foul line! A turnaround jumper to win it!
it raises the question, where do we go from here? Because trade deadline is here and we expect something.
It's Golick and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
ESPN NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski joins us in studio, giving the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Woj.
All right, before we even start, we're going to throw out another poll question at Golick and Wingo. Which name will be mispronounced most, yours or where the Winter Olympics are being held? So that Pyeongchang. So
nickname for mine. I don't know if there's a nickname for that.
Pyeongchang, I don't think there is, but so just so everybody has done it, just so we have Pyeongchang. Am I saying that right? At least
close enough.
Close enough. You, Woj, give us the correct of yours, and then this is going to go out as a poll question. Wojnarowski. You keep screwing it up.
Yeah,
I'm close. Guys, I'm close.
I heard Michelle Beadle screw it up last night and said she was just done saying it. So we wondered, are people going to mess up your name more, especially around the trade deadline talk, as much as your name is going to be said, or Pyeongchang, if I keep saying that for the Winter Olympics. So we're going to throw that out on a poll, but what a day for you today, Woj. I mean, so is it though? I mean, I know we get around the baseball deadline, not really much in football. It doesn't happen a lot, but baseball, there's all this talk, and sometimes there's a lot, sometimes not. Where are we with the basketball deadline as we approach it?
I think there could be a volume of deals today. I don't know that there's going to be an impactful volume. I don't know that we're going to see guys moving who are going to impact the playoffs, kind of really affect the balance of power. I think you're going to see you'll see more of just teams getting under the luxury tax, getting money off, more of that. But listen, sometimes it only takes a deal or two to trigger some bigger things. But the sense I've gotten the last few days, and then last night as teams were preparing, as teams are kind of leaving their meeting rooms to come back this morning, was that a lot of frustration that it was hard to get deals done in this marketplace because there's so much quote-unquote bad money out there, bad contracts that are hard to move around. And you do not have an appetite among a lot of these teams now to go into the luxury tax when, an owner's saying, what are our chances of winning? And you look at Golden State and Houston and the elite teams, and there's a lot of teams more looking to get money off than to double down and get in here and try to make a run at something.
So how does a team today balance being competitive for the future versus trying to compete for a title?
Well, the Clippers are a good example of that. Like they want to kind of reboot their roster, reshape it, but they don't want to drop into the lottery. They don't want to tank. And so you see them now. What do they do with Avery Bradley today, who they like a lot? They got in the Detroit trade. He's going to be a free agent this summer. They made a decision with Lou Williams. They got him on a really good contract that they could flip and trade again anyway, but they got a guy averaging 23 points a game, borderline all-star this year.
Last year, wouldn't he have been like a $12 million guy, the way those contracts are going out?
Absolutely.
And he's an $8 million guy.
Yeah, and maybe I think he could have gotten a little more this summer, but he made a decision. I've moved around teams a lot. I like this situation. I like playing in L.A. I like playing for Doc Rivers. Maybe I could make a little more this summer, but the money is going to be really tight this summer. And, DeAndre Jordan is facing that. Where is there going to be cap space for a player like him to go out and get a big free agent deal? I think what Jordan is hoping, whoever trades for me today, potentially, then that team's going to be ready to re-sign me. The Clippers with Jordan today, Clippers are just as willing to to not trade him, let him expire off their cap, than to take back, for example, Tristan Thompson's contract for another 2 years just to get a late first-round pick. That's not something, as of this morning, that the Clippers were willing to do.
So obviously that's the link a lot of people saw, especially with DeAndre, was the Clippers and the Cavaliers. So if that move isn't necessarily realistic, what would be for Cleveland, since they seem to be at the center of a lot of the discussion today?
They're still talking with Sacramento on George Hill. That's kind of like the back burner, 2:45 p.m. We couldn't get anything better. Are we going to do George Hill? Like, that deal was always going to be there for them. I think that's how that plays out today. But even Cleveland, I don't know that any one night impacts it. That was a good win for them last night. They needed to start just feeling better about themselves, and their change has to come from within. Like, there's no savior out there for the Cavaliers. They've got to. The biggest change at the deadline for them is competing, starting to get along. But George Hill, that deal remains out there. Cleveland's been involved and engaged kind of all over the league. Derek Favors is another big man that, they've checked in on in Utah who could potentially move today. And then they're still talking with the Clippers on DeAndre.
Our ESPN insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, joining us. Trade deadline 3 Eastern today. For Cleveland, is it more who they want to bring in or trying to get rid of some of the people that they think it may not be mixing well in that locker room right now?
That is a part of it. The problem is they have so many bad contracts and guys who are playing really poorly with those. I mean, moving Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith at this time. These are players who are on big deals with money going forward that have no value. In fact, it would take you. Cleveland's talked about trying to get that Tristan Thompson contract off in other places. They called Indiana. Indiana has caps, and you'll see this too today. Indiana has cap space. And so what Indiana is saying, or Chicago is saying, is send us your bad contract into our space and send us a first-round pick with it. And that's how you're going to get off some of your money. That's, that's conversation that they've had in Cleveland, but they can't. It's hard for them to attach a pick just to get Thompson off right now. They want to try to get better, and that's going to be tough for them to do. The kind of players that Cleveland would put that Brooklyn pick into, the star players, a Paul George, a Marc Gasol, these players are not available. Or what Cleveland would like to do is we want to get younger, more athletic, and like a really good player who's still on his rookie contract. Those guys aren't available. And what Cleveland would like to do with LeBron, and there's no partnership here right now. It's been well documented here lately of the acrimony there. What Cleveland's vision is we wish LeBron would partner with us. We could go forward together. And we'd like to try to do for him what San Antonio did with Tim Duncan, which was as he got into his 30s, we got younger, more athletic around him. Instead of this Cleveland team trying to keep doubling down with older players, and that's what they'd like to do. But without knowing whether he wants to stay or not, or feeling he probably prefers to leave at this point, they're not trading that Brooklyn pick for a guy who's just going to be a quote unquote rental for a year. Or for the rest of the year, and now they burn the thing, and they're all, he goes out the door, and whatever guy they brought in for him is going out the door too. They won't do that. So they would have liked to, even if we didn't use that pick now, could we use it at the draft, either to take somebody or to do a trade like the Bulls did, where the Bulls got to the draft, targeted Markkanen in the deal with Minnesota. We can get this. We want 7 as part of that deal. We know we can get Markkanen. That's our guy. That's what the Cavs would like to do, but they don't know whether LeBron's part of the future or not.
We're talking to ESPN NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski. And Woj, any shot that Isaiah Thomas is just shipped out?
There's always a chance. He's an expiring contract. His number's not very high. It would have to probably be a part of something a lot bigger. But right now, I think, they're going to, he played one of his better games last night. He needs to get healthier. He needs to start to get his legs under him here. He was out a long time. He's coming back from a serious injury. They hope that, by the time the playoffs come, he'll be a much better player than he is now. There's always a chance. I don't think I'm not sure it's a priority for them to do it, but if there was a bigger deal where they've got to move pieces around, it's conceivable today.
In New York, with the recent injury to Kristaps Porzingis, how does that change the way that they approach this trade deadline now? Because really the next couple of the years of that franchise look like they're at stake with the timetable for this injury.
Yeah, I don't know that it impacts them a lot at the deadline. I think they were going to be hard-pressed to get anything done. They have, listen, they would like to get younger. They'd like to get draft picks. They'd like to get some of their bad contracts off. That's like 20. There's like 22 other teams all trying to do that same thing. Yeah. And it's a zero-sum game. So Certainly, they're not going to act as a team trying to make the playoffs anymore. But they, the Joakim Noah situation is going to play out here. I don't know that Noah plays another game for the Knicks. They're going to have to worry. They're going to have to work on a way to part ways here. That's going to be really financially costly. Or the Knicks could wait out the season with Noah, see what Jeff Hornacek's future is as coach, and see, could we reincorporate Noah back into organization if there was a different coach next year, because that has become untenable between Hornacek and Noah.
So we talked obviously about Cleveland, but how about some of the other contending teams in both conferences, maybe the top 4 in each conference? Any of them looking to make a move or that can make a move that could really boost their chances?
Certainly the Spurs have been active, and Oklahoma City. Here's a few teams like Oklahoma City, Toronto, Houston have moved draft picks out in recent years, don't have as many draft picks to use to try to get better at the deadline. So that limits them a little bit. Toronto's got such good young players, and they're very hesitant to, very quietly, Toronto can stand pat and they can win the East. And they don't have to make a move, because you can see with them, their improvement can keep coming from within. They have this really good young bench that's taking some of the pressure off DeRozan, Kyle Lowry. Less in past playoffs, there's been so much put on those two. And you can see a little more, become a more balanced team as they've grown their own guys. So for them, they can be improved and better in the playoffs just because those young guys are getting better all the time. So I think they're less apt to do something. Boston, Tyreek Evans is a player who a few of the contenders, Boston, Philadelphia, if you want to call them a contender, they're a playoff contender. Right. Denver are all still interested in Tyreek Evans, and he's a good example of how hard it is to get a first-round pick. Memphis has been holding out, hoping somebody would give them a first-round pick. We're how many hours from the trade deadline? They still don't have one for him. He could go for 2 second-rounders or a good second-rounder. Teams are holding on, clutching those first-round picks. They don't want to just give them up anymore. Real quick,
Woj, I do want to ask you about the Lakers. Do they trust the process and let their young guys grow, or do they get rid of them at the deadline?
They're active. The Lakers had a lot on their board last night into today. So far, they've resisted Julius Randle. I think they probably finished the year with him. But some of the young players like Nance, Clarkson are very available. If there's certainly a deal, they want to try to win as many games as they can this year to look more attractive in free agency. They still have hopes of LeBron James this summer. Their hopes of Paul George have waned a little bit because they feel it too, and they're they can hear Paul George like everybody else can and see that he's become comfortable in Oklahoma City.
It's fantastic stuff. You can check out Woj as part of the Jumps NBA Trade Deadline Show presented by Kia today at 1:30 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
By the way, you're winning right now, the poll. That people think your name will be mispronounced the most at 54% to 46% right now. So we'll keep a running tab. We'll let you know how this one ends up.
That's the closest I've ever come to being an Olympian, being compared to the Olympic team, right?
There you go. Congratulations. You're a gold medalist for us. Totally counts. Coming up next, a mentorship program in sports that we did not see coming, but
hello, I'd like to deposit this to checking.
Fate is a fickle master.
What?
The future is uncertain.
Okay, and what's my account balance?
The horizon is cloudy. I see a long, treacherous voyage filled with great peril.
Look, can I just get a deposit slip or something?
A Fortune bank teller. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I see a yellow-eyed serpent and a low APR.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Golick and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. He's my Golick.
Yes, I am. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm Jason Fitz in for Trey.
No,
that's okay. That's okay. I took a little pause there. It was dramatic.
It was dramatic.
Thank you.
Did you see the crowd already in Philly on the streets is ridiculous? It is ridiculous what's going on. I guess we shouldn't be shocked.
Well, we shouldn't. Okay, so I'll throw this out there as one of my least favorite things in all of college football. Okay?
Right.
I lived in SEC country for 20 years.
Yep.
I appreciate how passionate SEC fans are. But the whole SEC, it just means more thing, kind of makes me want to throw up.
I'm with you.
I hate that. However, you do look at different sections of life and say, hey, to Patriots fans, it's not that Patriot fans aren't amazing. They are.
Right.
But when you've won a bunch of Super Bowls, I don't know that you can appreciate it to the same level. The Eagles fans, I mean, they're saying over 2 million people for this parade, and it's just a level of, oh my God, we finally did it, that I think no matter what city you're in, if it's a passionate NFL fan base and you're getting your first Super Bowl parade in a modern generation.
Or like the Cubs after 108 years.
Oh my God, yes.
You get that and you just, you just live it. And again, our board op Cliff, this is not a bit, gang. Cliff, after the show yesterday, he's a Philly guy. He drove to Philly, and it was a horrible snowstorm here yesterday in the Northeast. He took off and he drove to Philly. We already had him on once this morning. Him, and I don't know if they were his friends or just people he met. I have no idea. But they were inside a Wawa getting hoagies, and the dilly-dilly was already starting with the Bud Light, which, remember, Bud Light is giving out a bunch of free beer today. So Cliff is going to join us a couple times during the show. Hopefully we won't have to use the dump button. We don't know what kind of condition he'll be in or the people around him will be in, but it is crazy there right now. Have a good time, man. Try and have a safe time. I know it got it got out of hand after the Super Bowl, and it's just a shame that some of that stuff happens, but I hope today will be really great as the players and the team parade through the streets.
I know we're going to get to some Patriots here, but I do have to say on that end, when you think about what it's like after a Super Bowl, those things happen, unfortunately, now in most cities. Doesn't matter whether you're winning a Stanley Cup or whether you're winning a Super Bowl. Parades, though, seem to have a little different level of joy.
Exactly. I agree with that. As I said, I'll never understand, we just won something, let us start breaking and burning stuff. I just don't get it. There's no excuse for it. It's horrible that it happened where it did in Philly, and as you mentioned, it happens in other cities as well. It's ridiculous. But I'm with you. The parade, I think, is definitely going to be more on the upbeat, fun scale rather than the damaging scale.
We'll find out later where you are on parades because I'm all in. But I think that one of the things we're feeling today about the Patriots from the other end of the Super Bowl is that, I think 72 hours ago, it felt like all hope might be starting to wane and it might be a moment of chaos and panic in New England. And it doesn't feel like that today, largely because Josh McDaniels just flat out left the Colts at the altar. And it's awkward, but we're starting to get more sort of a sense of more of what happened and why it's happened. And Mike Reese, our NFL Nation reporter for the Patriots, wrote a little bit about the fact that this has to do partially with the mentorship, that we're at a spot now where Belichick, and this was just posted on ESPN.com, Belichick may be extending his time in New England. This may want Belichick to be there longer, but he's going to open up his whole breadth of knowledge and give it all to Josh McDaniels, which I don't buy. For one, Mike, if I've been hanging out with you, we've been working together for years, and I've been the sidekick on Go Lick and Wingo for years, and then I go take another job and try to be the guy. It doesn't work, and I come back as the sidekick, and I'm here for a few more years. And you never give me any tricks or tips or pointers. You never help me along the way. And then I'm about to take another job. If that's the moment you come in and say, but wait, I'm going to open up my bag of Go Lick secret tricks, I'm gonna do the old Bugs Bunny, slap you in the face with the glove, challenge you to a duel, and leave.
Yeah, this one again, kind of like the Malcolm Butler thing. We were just kind of scratching our heads, saying, "What gives here? What more goes into this?" And it may be nothing more than what we have heard. I'm with you here. Why wasn't this discussed? It's not a secret that Josh McDaniels was being courted, and if you didn't want to lose him, and you knew Matt Patricia was as well, who ultimately goes to Detroit. Why not have that conversation then and say, hey, before you start unless you really want to go on all these interviews, before you start them, I'll start to mentor you. Your deal will get sweetened. You'll start to do this. Why does it wait for the last second when he agreed to the call? Agreed. Remember, he agreed to it. And all that was left was the press conference to officially accept it and then obviously sign the contract. So he had every right to do what he did, but it sure looks bad on him. And there's like the Tony Dungy's of the world who just, think it's horrible what went on, especially the assistant coaches that got left hung out signing the contract thinking they're going to be with McDaniels, and now they're not. Something about it is a little bit of the, oh, wait, you're really going to go? Wait a minute. Before you go, we'll do this, this, and this. And from what we understand, there have been zero assurances that he'll be the next head coach in New England whenever Bill Belichick leaves. Now, Charlie Weiss, who used to be the old coordinator there and does a show on Sirius, one of the Sirius channels, said that he thinks even though there were no assurances, that he believes that Josh McDaniels will be the next coach. The way it's going right now, he said, even though he didn't get the assurances, he thinks that Josh will be the next head coach once Belichick steps down. So, again, we don't know what was said there, but I'm with you. You knew he was being courted. You knew what the process was like. If you truly didn't want him to go, why wouldn't you be telling him all that stuff before he got all the way to basically the next move was showing up at the press conference, accepting the job for another team, in this case, the Indianapolis Colts.
Skolik and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. I'm Jason Fitz in for Trey Wingo. And the other part of it is, if we want to buy that this move means Belichick might just stay in New England longer, then why would he open up his knowledge now? Why would he get into how he handles the salary cap and how he handles roster building? Why would he do all of that today if he knows that Josh McDaniels is just going to be a part-timer until he tries to get another job? Those pieces don't make a ton of sense to me. The other piece, and I think the biggest piece in this, is if I'm an owner of any NFL team not named the New England Patriots, I would not hire Josh McDaniels.
Well, I mean, I think Josh McDaniels may be in that position of knowing that, okay, I made this move. He's not a dumb guy, that he may have really rankled some people here for the thought of not only if maybe a team would entertain hiring him again, but how about an assistant coach? You got to feel like, well, wait a minute. If I'm going to commit to you, are you committed to this process? So, yeah, I do think it hurt him with another team. But again, if Charlie Weiss is right in this and Josh is the next coach, then it's just a matter of abiding his time. And there can be something, as I said the other day, you go to any coach, hit Wikipedia, and go down their moves. I mean, if you choose to be a coach, and it was one of the reasons, I'll say it again, when I retired, Bud Carson, the late, great Bud Carson, one of the great D coordinators, my D coordinator in Philly, when Rich Kotite became the head coach, asked me when I retired if I wanted to get into coaching and come be an assistant D-line coach for his defense and start. He goes, I think you could be a good coach. And I said, Bud, I love you. I said, but I see you guys there before me. I see you guys there after me, and I see you guys move all the time. I don't think I could do it. I would love to coach. I think I could do that. But, man, that world, that life is a nomadic life, and I don't think I could do it. You just go look at any of these coaches. So now I do have to think that is pretty nice for Josh McDaniels. He's been in New England since 2012, and now he's going to stay there and potentially be the next coach, say in 2, 3, 4 years. Now you're looking at a string of 8 years or so he was there an assistant, and then maybe take over as a head coach. He has a wife. He has 4 kids, all like, I think, middle school age right now. That's something, to be able to have your kids in the same school system for that long. So I do believe there is something to that. It's just the order of how this all happened, getting all the way to the press conference, and then all of a sudden New England showing all this interest like, oh, well, we're going to pull back the curtain for you now, if you'll stay.
I think you and I have talked off air a lot about the transition for you to Bristol, right, because I'm in the middle of making a transition to Bristol, and I can completely sympathize with the process of going through and saying, hey, how do I weigh family versus dream jobs? I understand that probably more than a lot of people right now. But I would also have to understand that if ESPN had called in the fall and said, hey, here, we want you to move to Bristol, and I said, yep, I'm in. And then right as it came time to announce the show, I said, you know what? No, I'm going to stay in Nashville.
Yeah.
I can't expect ESPN to call.
Be very tough. Very tough.
That's sort of the piece that I feel like Josh McDaniels is up against. We'll continue breaking it down, but coming up, we head back to Philly.
Oh, boy.
This is going to be dangerous.
Oh, man.
We're going to see what our board op Cliff is up to, how many dilly-dillies in they are. Plus, I brought something in today that Golick is going to enjoy.
Man, Cliff, I mean, to go, you love parade. You said you love parade.
Yeah, I'm all in.
Parade in Philly, they're expecting 2 million people. Cliff, our board op, you love him here because he plays all the great music. He's a Philly guy. He drove there after the show yesterday. He was already on once. You just heard with us this morning. Cliff, I hesitate doing this. Where are you now, and how are you doing?
Yeah. Yo, I'm on Broad Snyder right now. We in South Philly right now. Oh,
What's the crowd like in Philly so far?
The crowd is crazy right now. Listen. Touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Come on, sing it. Watch the Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles fly. On the road to victory. Let's hear it. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. It's that free week. That's getting crazy. Hey, Aaron, tell him why. Tell him how your boy got out of work today. Yo, this is on crazy, man. My buddy wanted to come down here, but he couldn't get off work.
So I kid you not, he broke his own fingers to get out, and he got a doctor's note and everything. He's on his way down here right now. That's all y'all need to know.
No, that can only happen in Philly. That can only happen in Philly.
I gotta make up my hours on Sunday.
Wow. Hey, Cliff,
Yes.
where are you going to watch the parade from? Where are you guys? Where are you going to be?
Art Museum today. We're going to be at the Art Museum is the final stop today. That's where we're going to be at. That's where it ends today.
That sounds so classy.
Yeah, that does.
So Cliff's like, you know what? I went to Philly and I checked out the art museum.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys found Sal Pal yet anywhere? So missing Sal Pal?
No South Pal in sight, man. I don't know what's going on.
And
I think he's hiding from us.
Is there a dilly count on the Phillies?
Hey, can we get a Philly somewhere? Somebody. Philly. There we go.
Hey, by the way, hey Cliff, have you found any of the taverns that are giving out the free Bud Light yet?
Yes, we have, and we will be stopping at each and every single one of those taverns going.
That is awesome. All right,
Cliff. Wait, are you wearing like a shirt, a jersey, a hat?
Yeah.
What's the appropriate parade wear?
I got a shirt underneath me. I got a hoodie underneath that, or over top of that, and I got another shirt over top of that. So I'm loaded up. I'm layered up, Fitz, ready to go.
All right, you keep enjoying it. Anybody else out there listening, if you're at the parade and you take a picture with Cliff, we're going to send you something.
Free meat.
Free meat.
That's amazing.
All
Cliff,
right,
be safe out
we'll
there.
Talk to you in a little
we'll
bit.
check in later.
Unbelievable.
So to recap, Cliff's friends with somebody that not only broke his own fingers to get out of work, he did yell there at the end, I don't know if you heard it, I got to make up my hours on Sunday, which means like he's still got to work the comp time with the broken hand.
Understand what they said. This guy broke his own fingers and got a doctor's note to get out of work to go to the parade. I mean, I almost would you just taking your chance of just not going to work? I guess maybe you get fired. So
no, I'd have taken my chances to bribe the doctor.
Breaking his fingers was worth it. The next time, I doubt Cliff is going to be coherent enough to know, but I wonder how he did it. Do you just let something fall on them? It's not like you're going to take your own fingers and snap them.
Can't you just do like lower back pain or something? Like, could you be like just walk bent over for a couple of days?
That is unbelievable.
Broke his own finger. I mean, that the level of dedication that takes.
You're going to get that today, and craziness out of Philly. Again, if you see pictures anywhere, they're on social media all over the place. It is ridiculous what is going on there. And coming up in a few minutes, we're going to talk to the man who snapped the ball, the center, everything this year. He's graded out the best center in the league. Jason Kelsey is going to join us before the parade, which is a good thing instead of after the parade. And we're also going to get a little more into you brought your fiddle today.
I did.
Did you not? It's like show and tell. I'm not going to play it right now, but just for those that are watching on TV, grab that thing and then we can see it. That's your fiddle that you haven't played much since you retired from the band Perry, correct?
Yeah, I think I might have played maybe 4 times.
Is it going to be like riding a bike though? That you're going to be able to?
Well, we're going to find out.
We're going to find out. You're going to have to warm up a little. We're just going to go.
No,
easy
I'm not going to
today.
warm up. Warming up.
Okay,
yeah, we'll go easy today.
We're going to go easy today and just do Devil Went Down to Georgia because again, is that the comparison again of Stairway to Heaven for a guitar player?
Yeah, for sure. I thought maybe we'd just go easy and do like the
maybe we'll do that. And maybe we'll do that, and then maybe tomorrow we'll do that.
One thing I've learned, your name's on the show, so you can really decide what we're going to do.
I think doing the our song would be a cool thing.
Okay.
You think you'd be able to do that?
Yeah.
You think so? You think you'd be able to get up to that?
Yeah, I think I got that.
Juilliard at 10 years old. You're able to do that?
I did say that in kind of a condescending manner, and I'm not proud of that,
You did.
Mike.
Whatever.
I feel bad.
Whatever.
I'm sort of sorry, sort of not sorry. It's fair. So we are going to go back to Philly next, but this time not to talk to Cliff. We're going to go back to talk to somebody that actually played in the Super Bowl. We'll be joined by Eagles center Jason Kelsey next on Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio.